we are a go on all of the other many platforms, but thank y'all. Give me just 1 second and we can get started. Whew. Okay, everyone. Hi. Thank you so much for joining me today. Apologies, my streaming service decided to just give out yesterday, so I've been learning a new one. So if you guys at any point can't hear me, can't see me, please just charge it to me trying to find a new learning experience and let me know. Welcome to Intro to Resistance. I'm really excited about this, and I want for folks to not only feel just kind of prepared to have a good experience, but also to learn something. I want for us to all take something new away from this. I learn from you guys as much as you guys learn from me. And I really also want for folks to ask any questions. Kind of what I do is like my rule for anything that I do is, number one, you can ask questions at any time. Personally, I can't deal with having to wait to ask certain questions, because if I do, I won't remember them. They will be gone. They will not be there. So at any point, if you have a question, you can ask it in any of the chats. We are live on mostly every platform right now. And so you can drop it in those chats. I should be able to see it. If you're on Zoom as one of like the actual really registered people, you can drop it in the Zoom chat. You can also send me an email if there's anything. I will be monitoring my email as things go through. But hopefully people will feel comfortable enough to ask the questions, because I want to make sure that this is a learning space. Second and most important thing that I always have to say at the beginning of everything is this is a respectful space. This is a space where we are going to allow for folks to feel comfortable enough to ask questions. At no point do I want for anybody to feel like you are in a space where you're not going to be respected. So I always want for folks to act with respect towards others, towards yourself. Obviously, give yourself credit. You're participating in something that I think is pretty cool, something that I put a lot of time and effort and energy into. And if anybody is giving you trouble, also let me know, because that is also one of those things that I kind of refuse to deal with. I will not have anybody being disrespectful on these things. We will not have people using insults. We may curse a little. All right. Some curse words never hurt anybody. Right. But we don't ever want those to be directed towards other people. So that's always really important. And like I said, if you guys run into a problem, if there is an issue, let me know, because I may, fiddling with my computer, because I may not know unless you tell me. And so I want to make sure that's always at the top of everybody's minds in everything that we do. I'm about to start sharing my screen in a second. So if you guys can't see anything in like 2 seconds, let me know, because that would be very embarrassing if I think that I'm showing something and I am not. But I think I'm going to have to use our little, what do we call it? Our little web thing that they do sometimes in Canva, because like I said, I was supposed to be able to use a different software, ended up having to use something else. I also want to add that resources will be free for everybody for everything. If you have any issues and you can't access the resources and you're somebody who signed up, let me know. The class is free. It's pay what you can. So in other words, free, because I know that for some folks, it's just not an option to have extra finances, whatever, going towards things, because I understand that things are a lot for folks right now. So whatever you can afford to pay is what you pay. If you are registered, you're going to get access to everything else. So after today's class, for example, I will be dropping a bunch of stuff in email for the upcoming assignments, and you will be able to get anything that you need. We do have some items that I'll be able to offer to folks as needed, but there are a few different items that I will recommend that people purchase. And if they cannot purchase them, then we will include them in some of our free book giveaways or other programs similar to that. Okay, let's get this up. While we're doing this, I want for you guys to go ahead and drop in the chat. Let me know how things are going. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. And let me know what you may have questions on today. Because like I said, this is a question-friendly environment. Questions are always going to be welcome as long as they are respectful and done with the intention of learning. Everything that we do is always going to be done with the intention of learning. Okay. I think I just did this correctly. Yay, it's kind of correct. It's kind of not correct, but while I get this fixed, you guys can at least see this for now. So welcome to Intro to Resistance. I am Abiola Agoro. We are going to be having a couple of overview conversations today. We're not going to really get too into the nitty gritty. I wanted to kind of set the tone, make sure that I can get all of my little kind of lectures out the way, make sure that people can get familiar with the space that we are going to have first. And then I think once we are able to establish all of those things, then that's when we can move forward. I think otherwise sometimes it ends up being a little bit confusing when folks hop in and people start talking. Many of you already follow me. Many of you have already been engaging with my work. So there are certain terms and things that I will feel comfortable using without having to have an aside and to re-explain. But if at any point you do not understand something does need to be explained, like I said, always ask questions. And we'll do at the beginning of each class, we'll structure it where we're going to go through all of the things that we're going to be talking about that day. And then we'll kind of go into those individuals and we'll send out terminology that's important. A lot of the reading that you'll also be doing, watching, reading, however you're going to be interpreting and digesting the information, is going to be done with those sources. So you'll be able to not only have me tell you something, but hopefully you'll also be able to recognize something in a manner that is really geared towards making sure that you are at the forefront of all of the work that we're doing. Make sure that it makes sense to you, making sure that it makes sense to whoever is participating in this. So that's our little beginning. If you don't already know, because you're somebody who has sent this, my name is Abiola Agoro. Those of you on Instagram, I'm sorry you won't be able to see the presentation next to me like I'd like for you to, but I'm gonna put it on my little iPad so that you guys can follow along on here because it didn't pop up like I wanted it to. But if you are not familiar with me, and the second slide, you can kind of see my face there. I'm Abiola Agoro, and I am an educator. I'm an organizer. I'm also most notably a dog mom, because sometimes that is my claim to fame, and I cannot be offended by that because I love my pooches. They are everything to me. They're my loves. They're my assistants. We'll see if they choose to be quiet today. I highly doubt it, but if you do hear dog noises or any other noise, then let me know and I'll make sure that I have that for you guys. Sorry, like I said, I'm learning OBS today. I'm learning alongside you guys. I'm figuring it out as we go. It was the only one that would work. So we're just gonna have to make it work. Oop, let's close this. Sorry, you guys. How embarrassing. It is showing me that the presentation is closed on my end, so I'm trying to bring it back up. Okay, as I'm trying to pull this up, I'm a dog mom, organizer, educator. I'm an award winner. And a lot of what I do online is what I also do in real life. So when it comes to teaching people, when it comes to trying to make sure that people have all the information that they need, trying to make sure that people are always very capable of engaging with my work on a meaningful level, I do always tell people it actually really is that serious. A lot of what we do matters a lot more than we realize. And I think sometimes we get very stuck on the idea that things are either too serious or not serious enough. I think sometimes we struggle when it comes to being in between those two, and it doesn't allow for us to really engage in the manner that we would like to because we are stuck going back and forth from extremes. And that's part of the reason I wanted to make this course. I taught this course, if you've already done it, before last year in January, and have been working on trying to bring it back to you guys in a manner that was much more intentional, much more specific, and really would allow for you guys to learn how to take our resources. The whole purpose of this course, the whole purpose of Intro to Resistance, is trying to make sure that people know the history. Often when we talk about resistance, people think, oh, of course, we did this thing in, 1985, we did this thing in, 2002, we did this thing in 1886, we did this thing in whenever. And there are these far off times that don't really represent how deeply ingrained some of that work is. In the same way that you can be deeply ingrained in some of the negative things that we suffer from in this world, some of the things that we are unfortunately beholden to, the same way that systematic racism is ingrained in us, so is resistance. And all of the work that has been done by people that are absolutely phenomenal is a huge and regular part of what we do. It is something that is really at the heart of us and is at the root of who we are as people. So the goal and the overall thing that you should be learning from this course is that history. You should be learning how to apply that history, and how that history will be able to really kind of apply to your everyday life. One of the last sessions that we're going to do is called Where Do We Go From Here? And where do we go from here is going to be us talking about all of the individual aspects that you've learned from the course and how you're going to apply them. So I want for you folks to understand it's not just learning, it's not just this thing happening far away, but it's also us actually being able to analyze how you are going to be involved in this space and how you're going to be able to take everything that you're learning home. Hopefully throughout this entire course, you're already going to be able to kind of figure things out when it comes to, okay, I'm learning about this tactic. I'll be able to take this home and apply this to what I'm doing here. I'm learning about this tactic. I'm going to be able to take this home and learn this from here. Hopefully you'll already feel kind of comfortable enough to begin to do that. But if not, we'll be taking a specific amount of time at the end of this and make sure that it is going to be very intentionally done, very deliberately done in a way that will allow for you to apply it to your lives and hopefully to the people in your lives that are already kind of helping you contribute to everything that you're doing and the people around you. The most important part that I also want for folks to know is this is a space to learn. And I know I've said that a million times, but I want that to be very clear when I say that, because I think sometimes when I say it's a space to learn, people think, oh, shoot, I can't make a mistake. I don't want to sound stupid. You really can't sound stupid when you're trying to learn and you have a genuine want to learn. And I do mean that very literally because I deal with a lot of people every single day. I deal with a lot of human beings. And I deal with some people who actually do dumb things. And those are the people that don't really have a positive intention whenever it comes to what we're doing. Those are the people that are coming towards all of these situations with this idea that they're better than everybody, that they're better than the world around them. And I think whenever you are trying very hard to actually learn, and now it's huge. Sorry, you guys. When you are trying to learn, it's you're never going to sound stupid when you are trying very hard to really engage in something with a positive intention, engage in something with a very real intention that is meant to be well. Now let me... Okay, you guys get to see the pretty slideshow, even though it's going through all of it when I said not to. Like I said, I promise next week will be better. I promise. We're learning together. And this is what I mean. You can't look stupid, because that would mean that everything I do always looks stupid. And it doesn't. Sometimes we're just figuring things out. There we go. That took forever. Okay. So with that being said, sorry, y'all. There we go. So that's our overview of the course. And all the information I want for you guys to have. So we will also have office hours. Office hours will be on Thursdays at noon. They will be every single Thursday unless otherwise stated. They'll be on all of these platforms, including Zoom, Instagram, TikTok, any platform that you can think of, they will be on. And you'll be able to come and ask questions, engage, find information that you need. And the other thing about the office hours is I will also provide extra information in them. Sometimes if somebody has a question about something specific, we'll be able to do that. But the good thing is we also, after every single class, will have a 25-minute discussion, 20 minutes, 15, depending on how many people come. That'll be on Zoom. Now, that will only be available on Zoom. So you'll only be able to get that on Zoom. But again, it's free to sign up, free to find all the information. So you can get all the information that you need right on Zoom. So if you want to participate in that, all you have to do is just sign up at the link and you'll be able to get access to all of this. Thank you so much. Y'all are so supportive and so sweet online. I appreciate y'all. Now, here's how you pronounce my name as well. So if you're unfamiliar with the pronunciation, my username on platforms is actually the phonetic pronunciation of my name. That's the reason why I made it. It's Abiola, Ahbeeolah is how you pronounce my name if you're ever confused. If you ever forget, just ask. I promise you it will be okay. And then here's just a little picture of some of the work that I do. Sorry, those of y'all on Instagram. Here, those of y'all on Instagram can see this now. So just some overview of who I am and what I do. Like I said, I've done a lot of work. I currently live in Texas. I'm in rural Texas. So sometimes we're going to have Wi-Fi issues. Sometimes we're going to have other issues. It's just part of the trade. But I have lived in DC, Boston, Atlanta, and I still do work across all of those places. So they will all still be consistently some a part of the real life things that I'm able to apply and some of the moments that you all will hear about. Okie dokie. Now I can make this bigger. So, Intro to Resistance. Now, this is about the history of resistance and its applications. And when I say that, what I mean is we're not just talking about resistance. We're talking about how it applies, there we go, to the real world. So we're talking about how resistance is seen every single day. We're talking about how resistance is a part of all of our conversations, how it's a part of what we do, and often how resistance is also going to be just in general something that is in our livelihood. So this is the description. Like I said before, office hours are going to be Thursdays from 12 to 1 p.m. Central Time. If that changes, I'll let you all know. And here's the description of the course. You can go and look at it. If you don't have it on Instagram, just log on to the link in my bio and you guys will have it there. Now, our learning goals of this course is I want for you all to take away an understanding of the historical movements. I want you to understand what's happening, what has happened, and to be able to actually identify these things in the world around you. I think it's not really useful sometimes to talk at people about this if they can't actually tag it in their real life. And we'll have some assignments that are in relation to that. I just realized this screen flipped in Zoom. Nobody told me it flipped the wrong way. Let's see. Okay, hopefully in Zoom you guys can see this better now. It's flipped, okay. And I'll make sure, let me try and unblur this, and then let me also pin myself on Zoom. Thank you, y'all are sweet. I promise you it's not normally this bad. It's just, I was thrown for a big loop because of the fact that I had to learn an entire new streaming platform today. So hopefully you guys can see this now. I'm going to put my face to the little side. So my face will be in this little corner. Yeah, thank you so much, Charlie. You can come on the next class. It'll be Thursday, so I'll see you then. And sign up in my bio for all the notifications and stuff, or just set notifications on. So, when we talk about the course learning goals, like I said, we want you to take away from this. When it comes to attendance, now anybody can join this, anybody can get on. I always say this is free across all platforms. So this was streaming Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, wherever else, every single time. And people are able to do that. But if you guys want actual credit, those of you on Zoom will be people getting credit. So I'll be taking attendance. I'll be able to get all of you all's information more specifically. And it is still flipped. It's still flipped? That's wild. I was lied to. I was told OBS was easy to figure out. This is not easy to figure out. Okay, I'm going to flip it back and see if you guys can see it. The good thing is, honestly, there's a lot of really cool stuff on here. Like I said, I promise you it will be better next time. Okay, can you guys see it on Zoom? Did I fix it? Yes! Okay. Excellent! And those of y'all on Instagram, you can kind of see this over here in this corner. Okay, great. So we have like a lot of the in general learning goals on here. But yes, if you want credit for the class, which will be done through my 501c3, you will be getting a certificate signed by me. You can use that for certain things. It's not accredited, so it won't be used for like university credit, for example, to use to gain like if you want credits towards something else that you're doing, that won't be for what it's for, but you can also use it as community service hours. Sometimes I know a job will want a credit, even if it's not from an accredited place. Certificates can be very useful. So in order to get the certificate, you will have to attend 70% of things and get 70% and up. This will include getting on here. If you get on Zoom, I'll easily be able to mark it off. But if you get on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, I'll have to manually look for it, or you can just send me an email and let me know ahead of time that's where you're going to be doing it on. Everybody does not have to do this way. Obviously, this is a very specific thing for those of you who want the certificate at the end, but if you just want to learn, you can hop in on the sessions as you feel. Oh God, they moved my slideshow thing. This is ridiculous. They moved my buttons for the slideshow. Why would the buttons for the slideshow disappear? That doesn't even, there we go. Okay, it's back. Now, the format is fully digital, so everything will be online, all the platforms, so you don't have to worry about anything in person. It'd be cool to be able to do something in person, but not in the cards right now for something like this. The schedule of sessions, we're going to have 10 sessions, including today, so you'll have 9 sessions from here on out. Today's session is your introductions to the course, but the next session will be what is a revolution, and then so on and so forth. And we'll go over what each one of those sessions will look like in a second. So, what is a revolution is going to be us diving into really the dynamics of a revolution. And while I'm talking about this, I would love if folks, there we go, can go ahead and just start brainstorming what a revolution looks like to you, what a revolution feels like, what it looks like, because I think a lot of times people have a hard time identifying this. And I want you to just think of that. At the end, I'll ask you to actually drop in the chats what you think a revolution is, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in about 20-ish minutes or maybe less. So you can go ahead and drop those in your mind and then drop them into the chat. So that's going to be our general overview. Our third class is going to be histories of revolution in the US. Now, this is a US based class, mainly because of the fact that a lot of times when we talk about revolutions, typically the first thing that people do is go, the French. And no disrespect to the French, but like we've had moments that were slightly cooler than the French. Just being honest. We've had moments that were slightly cooler. But we don't know that and we don't talk about it. So being able to actually show people that we've done really cool things in this country is important because it shows us that we are capable of doing cool things. Whenever we refer to revolutions as always happening outside of the US, it makes it seem like we're not capable of it and we haven't done it before. So this will be US focused. I hope to expand to a world focus at one point, but that is not in the cards right now. However, with people's continued support, it's something that I really would be excited to do. But I do want us to focus on this for a set of very specific reasons. Class 4, we're going to be talking about the genre framework of resistance. And that framework is a little bit odd. Hopefully people will be able to catch on with the terminology, because we're going to use a lot. That's going to be some fancy terms. It's going to be a fancy term day. And we're going to really be diving into, I think, some of the phrasing that people need to realize, and also some of the structure. So one of the things that I'm really excited for us to learn about during that class is going to be the difference between a movement that's attached to something versus a phrase. So for example, people have heard of Black Lives Matter, the movement, and Black Lives Matter, the organization. And those are two separate things that obviously are intertwined with one another, but also they are not the same thing. And so because they aren't the same thing, it sometimes can cause confusion when we conflate one with the other, because it can limit one, but also sometimes it can make it to where a movement gets wrapped up in something that it shouldn't be, because we're conflating a movement with an organization. So that one I'm very excited for. We'll have a couple other things that we touch on. We're going to touch on the Underground Railroad. We're going to touch on a lot of really cool stuff. Then we're going to have types and methods of resistance. Now, as you can see, there's not one or two, there are 3 types and methods of resistance classes. Yes, 3. We might end up not needing one. If we don't need one, we'll get rid of it. We'll deal with it when we get there. But we might end up needing all 3. And what we're going to be talking about is some more of what I just talked about when it comes to the structures, but we're also going to talk about the methods used within those structures. So not just talking about the fact that resistance happens, but that resistance also in the way that it happens is really important and can be tracked. It's not just this little sporadic thing that happens all over, but we actually have methods, even in these small forms of resistance that happen, these moments where somebody has a protest, and maybe it is spur of the moment, but even then there is no such thing as a fully spur of the moment protest. It always comes from the roots of a problem. It always comes from the roots of a person, and there's always still a method to the madness. So we are going to spend 3 full classes. Like I said, we got 1, we got 2, we got 3 on those. And the third one, we may end up shifting to something else. We may make it more conversational based. It's really going to depend on how things are looking. Now, on class 8, we're going to be doing deep dives. And what I mean by deep dives is, depending on how people are dealing feedback wise, we're going to jump in a little bit deeper and do full on analyses of different things. And so you'll take potentially a moment that happened and you'll do a dive into how it affected history, how it was created by what was going on at the time period, how it can apply to you. I think it's really going to be one of those classes where it's going to be how we're feeling, and based on how we're feeling, we're going to be able to look at what's going to be the most useful for you. The thing about this that I love is you can really customize a lot of, in general, a class like this that's free that I can teach how I please, because of the way that it's done. And it allows for us to make sure that people are really learning. That way you're not ever in something where you're just stuck and confused and we don't know what's going on. Make sure that we're actually keeping up with it. Now, class 9 is going to be what I talked about before. This is going to be finding your place in resistance. So this is going to be fully looking at what you can do and how it is going to apply to you and your work. And that's really important, because I want for this to be more than you just listening to me yap. I want this to be something that we're actually taking and applying to the work that's happening. I want this to be something that is, again, applicable for when you go home. You can actually say, hey, I did this whole thing. I got the certificate, whatever, cool. But like, I don't know what the fuck I just learned. I want for you to be able to say, you know exactly what you just learned. So that's what this is going to be. And then last but not least is going to be, where do we go from here? So this is going to be kind of trying to collate everything that we talked about, everything that we've learned, and being able to actually move it forward and see what's next. Also, as this class is going, obviously we are in a very interesting time where there's a lot going on. And so we may have things that happen in real life that we're going to be applying to the class afterwards or during. So this potentially will be a really great session for us to also look at where things are. For example, we just had all the Supreme Court rulings that dropped in the last week. And we might have some other rulings that come from other courts that are not the Supreme Court by then as well, that will still be important from regional courts. Also, August tends to just have a lot of dates in it. So August will also be a lot. And just to give you guys another overview, as a reminder, Our sessions are going to be going from here until September 10th. That is a lot, but I figured 10 sessions would be enough for us to actually go over a lot of things. And like I said, today is kind of a figuring things out session. So I just wanted to get you guys familiar with some of our other stuff, and obviously also for me to adjust to a new learning software because my other software chose to be unusable at the very last minute. It would not cooperate. So on that, I want to also add, let me make this smaller so people can see it. I do have a book program. I'm finally going to be able to go back and start mailing books out on my list. But if you do need a book for the course on something that I recommend, you are going to be able to use it with this. It is the Request a Book and potentially a Donate to Buy a Book program that I have. So if you have something, you want the book, you need the physical book, let me know. I take donations in and I try and go and order the books and then ship those out to people. I think physical media is really important. And sometimes, especially with something like this, renting from a library can be a lot. We should always support libraries. But sometimes for something like this specifically, having a shorter time frame on it can be harder. And I know that a lot of libraries have had to limit how long people can check out things because of what's going on. So I like to be able to also help offer folks an option to have what they need. Now, I said we're going to be talking about what a revolution is. I want for you all to think. Brainstorm. We're going to stop, and for 30 seconds, I want for people in all of the chats on all the platforms to tell me what you think a revolution is. Every platform, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on Zoom, and those of you on Facebook, I'm about to go on here real quick and make sure I can see y'all. But just take 30, 40 seconds, and I want for you to type in what you think a revolution is. What does that look like to you? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? There are no wrong answers in this because this is an opportunity for folks to really just offer how they feel like engaging. So there is no wrong answer. I would play the Jeopardy song, but I don't have it. So you're not going to get the Jeopardy song. I'm sorry. I can sing it though for like 10 more seconds. Do 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 da do da do da do 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 da do da do 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 da do ba do ba do 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 da do da do do do. Okay, I see a couple responses. Lovely. Okay, so on here we have the oppressed rising up against the oppressor. We have a revolution is a people's movement that aims to change systems in place. I'm also going to screenshot that. We have the revolution is a complete sorry, Instagram. We have the revolution is a complete. Sorry, Instagram. The revolution is a complete systematic change to the current structure of capitalism. If the foundations of the system are rotten, we must do what we can to change those foundations. Then on here, we have rebellion resulting in major change. We have the only way widespread positive change happens. We have empathy and discomfort and some other things. But I hate to break it to you, all of these answers are correct. But on top of these answers, we also have the fact that revolutions do not have to be positive. Sometimes we are thinking about revolution in a positive manner because of the fact that we know that it has massive change, but also revolutions can be negative. January 6th could be considered a form of a macro or micro, depending on the scale we're looking at, revolution. January 6th was obviously not good, and I don't think that we have to parse words with thinking that anybody here is a January 6er. If you are a January 6er and you're watching this for some reason, I hope that you come to learn and participate in a way that is productive. I have, in fact, accidentally had January 6ers on my profile, and it's very weird. So when we talk about revolutions, all of these answers are definitely correct, but we also have to remember that on the flip side of that, these are massive forms of change, and they can happen in other ways. One thing that I do really like that is from Paper 6 on Instagram is a revolution is a people's movement that aims to change the systems in place. I think that's a very useful definition. I will also send out all these definitions afterwards so you all can think on them them and kind of, meditate through what feels very useful. I also think the only way widespread positive change happens is important and a really good addition and something that we should definitely have as a part of our things. But revolution is very, very, very complex, but it's also at the same time simple. And I hope that's not an unhelpful aspect, but rather serves to allow for folks to really meditate on the different ways that we move towards anything. Revolution is very complicated, but it's also at the same time something that's very simple. One thing that I'm really excited to go over are different forms of what we call macro revolutions and what we call micro revolutions. And I know that some of you are probably familiar with the term like micro resistance or like miniature resistance, where you'll be like, yeah, I didn't move out the way for a man today on the sidewalk. That's micro resistance. Or, I didn't have conversations with somebody that was disrespectful to me. That's micro resistance. And even then I would argue that it's macro resistance, but that's something that we can work on. And that'll be like a really important part, I think, of all the conversations that we have. Sorry, those of you on Instagram, you're not going to see the other slide, but that's okay. So one of the definitions that we're going to be using for what a revolution is in this course specifically, and this is our positive spin on it, is an intentional targeted disruption led by people to overhaul and build a new system. Again, this is not the correct definition. This is a definition that I want for folks to be familiar with so that we know what we're referring to. Terminology matters a lot when we're having conversations, and so we have to be able to refer to things with the correct tools. It doesn't mean that not having a phrase, not knowing all of the really fancy ways to formulate something make you better than anybody else, but when we have the terminology to refer to things, and when we know what definitions we're basing a conversation off of, it allows for us to avoid confusion. It allows for us to be on the same page. It's just like if somebody says, hey, I need a spoon of sugar. You can have a big spoon that's like this big, and you can have a little spoon. That's why we like to specify. And even among those specifications, if you tell me a teaspoon, I'm probably going to bring you a tablespoon, because I am not good when it comes to amounts when it comes to food. Don't ever ask me to give you a cup of something, because if I don't have a cup that has a line on it that specifically is a cup, I'm going to bring you a literal cup. And that is one of the examples of how those different definitions and those different structures of things can really have a massive effect, because we're not on the same page. And if we're not on the same page, we don't know what we're talking about. Some examples from past courses also what a revolution is that some of you all touched on, but maybe some other interesting ones are a revolution is a change brought by suffering and or a deep desire for something other than what has become the status quo. Revolution is rebirth. Revolution is the motor or the engine to spark us or propel us towards liberation. Change and pushing forward for a better future. On the basic level, I think of revolution period as a period of time or a movement designed to evoke change. For your course, I presume we'll be focusing on social or political revolution, and so change equals social change. So just some varying opinions that people have had in the past of what that looks like. Now, during this, what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to get into the little homework, and I'll send you guys an email either tonight or tomorrow morning that has the information. Again, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, I probably will post this as well, maybe tomorrow, the next day. But again, sign up for the emails. It's easy. It's free. It'll be easier for you to keep up. We are going to look at what the revolution will not be televised means, because this is actually one of the most misinterpreted quotes of all time, in my opinion. It is a massively misunderstood and misinterpreted quote that does not accurately reflect the person who was saying it, Jill Scott Heron's ideology. So I want for you all to reflect on that. Think, what is she talking about? I'm going to email you all, and if you've followed me for a minute, you may have seen the video I made on this that talks about it, but I'm going to send that out. But I want you to meditate with the question first and think about what that means. If I say the revolution will not be televised is not accurate, what does that mean? What does the interpretation of that mean? And I will send you guys that. I'm going to pause now and see, are there any questions, concerns, thoughts, anything overarching that I may not have gotten to today for our intro session? I figured we were getting a little bit short, but a lot for folks to digest, a lot for me to not have any more tech issues, because I am very technically challenged. Even though I create content, I'm not good at it, ironically. But any questions, thoughts, concerns, anything moving forward, any other issues that you all potentially may want addressed, and any access issues so far. I know folks may not have had the chance to actually log in and look at things, but you'll have all the content. Oh, thank you for the sticker. You'll have all the content uploaded probably tomorrow for any other stuff that you need to look at. Any questions across platforms? I don't see anything yet. Okie dokie. I feel like we sound good. So I'll send you guys an email out. I'll make a post as well. You guys will be able to have all the information to dive through. Because I'm ending here early, I'm going to go ahead and transition on Zoom to our post conversation. It will probably be very short. If you guys have any questions that are on there, you can. If you're on the other platforms, go ahead and send me a message and I can drop you the link to it, because it was in the email I sent out earlier. But if you didn't get it, you might not have it, but I'll be able to send that to you so you can come join our Zoom post discussion. And other than that, I will see all of you lovely people on the social media platforms later. Bye Instagram, and goodbye TikTok. And now I can pause my streaming on here for you lovely people. Can I do it? Is it going to work? Aha, I think it worked. Okay, let me turn this off. Excellent. Okay, now onto my Zoomies. I probably shouldn't call you guys Zoomies, but it might be a weird term. I wanted to open up the floor here for any questions or concerns. I also like to do stuff when it comes to engaging with other people on Zoom. That way we don't have any issues with people being disrespectful or just other things, because sometimes it's really important to me to moderate spaces and make sure that they feel very safe for folks that are engaging in them. I don't ever want people to be in a space that I can't moderate, that's supposed to be underneath my purview, because then I'm just opening people up to harassment and other things, and that